They tell you that college is the best time of your life, and I really believe it. And it's so sad that time goes by as quickly as it does, and before you know it, you'll be right here doing this video too. And there are just a few things I want to pass on to you guys that I've learned. First and foremost, you need a community of believers. You need Barnabases to encourage you, to support you. You need a Paul to disciple you, to have that one-on-one personal relationship to help grow you in your faith. And you need Timothys so that you can disciple and help invest in other people to help them further along in their faith. Something that I think I struggled with throughout my time in college was that I spent too much time with my worldly friends, or I felt like I was spending too much time with my Christian friends. It was never one way or the other. And I think there's a fine line, because you need an ambassador to Christ to them. And you need your godly friends for that support to help you further grow. And you need both of them just as equally. And I would greatly encourage you to not be in a country club of just Christian friends and not put yourself in a snare with just worldly friends, but find a mixture of both.
So if I were to write a letter to myself freshman year, I would say always commit more to Jesus. So Jesus is better than school. He's better than any job that I'm ever going to have. He's better than any relationship I'm ever going to have. So just always remember, Jesus is better.
When I came into college, I was really prideful, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about God. And I was humbled really quickly. But I think just one thing that was really important for me to learn was that vulnerability and being honest and real with people is really important. It took me a long time. I got into discipleship really early, but it took me a long time to actually be honest with my discipler and actually tell her just things that were going on in my life. And once I did that, I think that's really when I was able to grow a lot, and when she could really invest a lot in me. So I don't know, I just want to challenge you guys to be vulnerable with the person discipling you and with your friends, because we need community and we need to be honest with each other.
Find a church family as fast as you can that's going to get you in and connected, and find friends that will lift you up.
I think the biggest thing I learned these past few years is being a senior and going back to be a freshman. I think it's just be obedient to Christ. Don't try to be worried about what your passion is. Don't worry about trying to figure out, am I going to be a good engineer or a good basketball player or whatever you're planning on being. Just worry about being passionate for God. Worry about being passionate for being obedient to Him. And the other stuff is all going to follow with that. And as you start being passionate for God, God's going to make you passionate about things that in turn make you more obedient towards Him.
I wish I got more involved in being discipled my first semester of my freshman year, because discipleship is just a key aspect, and being a part of the BCM and spreading God's kingdom and doing prayer walking and just being able to be more involved in the BCM.
So I would probably tell myself that one of the most important things to remember is that your time here is limited. You don't get an infinite amount of time here, even though it feels like it's going to go on forever. When you get to the end of it, you're gonna want to say things and do things that you completely forgot about. So make sure to take the time to do the things that you want to do with people. I think the second thing I would say is that give all the time that you can to God, because it'll be so much more rewarding than anything else that you want to do. Because all the times that I decided to spend time talking to someone or slowed down to read the Bible for a couple minutes during the day when I was stressed, it always paid off. And then I think the last thing that I would say is the thing that's kind of brought me through this last senior year is that this too has a purpose and an end. And so even when things were hard, and even when things were crazy and out of control, I could always remember that God had a purpose in what was happening. And I always knew that eventually it would have an end, and someday we're all going to see Jesus in the sky, and it's going to be fantastic. But until then, like, our life here has a purpose, and every single moment is going to bring glory to His kingdom.
God knows that relationships are important. We were made as relational beings, and I know that relationships are important just based upon how I felt my first few weeks of college here. As a freshman, I just felt really lonely, and I desired relationships. And so this is what the Bible says about relationships in Proverbs 13:20. It talks about walking with the wise, become wise, but a companion of fools suffers harms. So we see that relationships are not only great, but they're also a learning tool. You learn from the wise people around you, and it also can be your downfall. So you have this opportunity in college that you will never have the rest of your life. You will be able to build relationships way faster and go way more into depth in relationships now than you ever will be able to for the rest of your life. So Paul says this about relationships, that he says, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. And even the author of Hebrews talks about imitating the faith of the people who are before you, or your elders. And so how are you going to steward your relationships during these 4 years at college? Are you going to surround yourself with people who are wise, who will build you up and encourage you to be more like Christ? Are you going to imitate the qualities and characteristics of people who are following Christ? I am only the man I am today because I'm following the coattails of the giants who have gone before me.
If I could write a letter to me